A black lake like this, it tells us the water quality is good. We can do contour mapping. This is contour mapping. It allows us to see where the flow is coming from.
The practical application for it is, as the world changes and as the earth changes, we're going to need to be able to see how those changes have happened and how we can adapt and fix things and try to figure out how to make things better and repair things that we've done in the past.
I'd like to introduce our Public Information Officer, Isabel Mascarenas, who will introduce our professional and community organizations.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Grego, and staff. It is my pleasure to introduce the following representatives of community and professional organizations. From the Pinellas Classroom Teachers Association, we have Nancy Velarde, President. Today, we have a presentation from the Student Rights and Responsibility Committee. Please welcome students Kennedy Riss, Andrew Bateman, and Haley Hart from Eastlake High School and their principal, Carmela Haley.
Good morning, Dr. Grego, school board members, and Pinellas County staff. I am Haley Hart from Eastlake High School, and I am a senior at ELHS. I am the vice president of the senior class, a member of the National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, Rho Kappa, Mu Alpha Theta, Key Club, and FCA. As I graduate high school, I will be attending Florida State University. Today, I will discuss how great the academics at Eastlake are. At Eastlake High School, we offer the Academy of Biomedical Sciences, the Academy of Business Careers, our Eagle Works Academy, which is the new name for our expanding engineering program, the Academy for the Visual and Performing Arts, as well as offering AVID courses, AP Capstone, Driver's Education, and the Eastlake Collegiate Academy. In our engineering program, our students have the opportunity to partner with incredible schools such as Harvard and MIT, thanks to our fantastic engineering teachers. This year, our seniors earned 1,096 industry certifications, received over $5 million in scholarships, as well as contributing an outstanding 19,132 volunteer hours serving our community. Our graduation rate has been 100% for the past 3 years, and as this year is coming to an end, some of our seniors in the coming weeks and months will be serving in every branch of the armed services. Students at Eastlake High School took close to 1,924 AP exams this year. Last year, our AP students earned the highest AP average score, and I'm sure this year's pass rate will be just as magnificent, as many of our students will earn college credits. This year's seniors class has an exceptional number of National Honor Society members, with over 100 graduating seniors having this distinction. And finally, Eastlake High School housed Pinellas County Teacher of the Year, Ms. Yakubuchi, who does an incredible job teaching visual arts to both high school and middle school students. Now I'm turning it over to my fellow senior, Kennedy.
Good morning, my name is Kennedy Rist, and I am a senior at Eastlake High School. At Eastlake, I am the senior class president, as well as a member of the National Honor Society, International Thespian Society, Blue Crew, academic team, and girls varsity basketball team. Following my graduation, I'll be attending the University of Texas at Dallas, and today I'll be discussing with you the Eastlake High School athletic program. Eastlake High School boasts 19 varsity athletic programs. In 2001 through 2002, Eastlake High School had around 425 students participating in these 19 programs. Our athletes truly represent student athletes, as our cumulative GPA was approximately a 3.4. Not only do our teams excel in the classroom, but they also are outstanding on their respective athletic playing fields as well. This year, Eastlake High School has had 4 Pinellas County championships, with another potential 3 to 4 that could be won by our spring programs. Multiple programs make regionals each year and compete for a regional title. We have also garnered 2 PCAC Coaches of the Year by our fall programs. We are very proud to say that our Eastlake High School athletic program has a tradition of excellence both on and off the field. We have had several professional and Olympic athletes where Eastlake High School has set the foundation for their success in their respective sport. Approximately 7% of high school athletes nationwide go on to compete in college athletics. As one of the top academic performing schools in Pinellas County, we are proud to say that Eastlake High School is above that 7%, having thousands of athletes thriving at the collegiate level due to the rigor driven both inside and outside the classroom. We are very excited with the potential opportunity of adding new programs to allow students the opportunity for physical and mental growth. And with that, we are very excited that next year we'll be adding girls wrestling and boys and girls bowling. Thank you, and I'll now be passing it on to my fellow classmate, Andrew Bateman.
Thank you, Kennedy, and well done to the both of you. Also, another thank you for having us all here today, as it is an honor and a privilege to speak today. My name is Andrew Bateman, and at Eastlake, I am president of Student Government Board, Spanish National Honor Society, and Spikeball Club. I am vice president of Blue Crew, while a member of Math, Science, English, History, and National Honor Society. All of these opportunities at Eastlake have prepared me to go to Florida State University in the fall to study biology at their honors college. While academics are especially important, a well-rounded student also has a vibrant social life. At Eastlake, we aid students in this quest so that they can be successful not only at Eastlake, but also in the future. At Eastlake, we have over 60 clubs and organizations which provide students with an opportunity to foster a solid student social life, which occurs weekly, if not bi-weekly. Our largest club at Eastlake is Blue Crew, sitting around 900 members. It is a student spirit organization in which attends our sports events and cheers on our students. This club allows students to meet fellow classmates and promote student unity for the love of our school. During the beginning of the year, Blue Crew hosts tailgates for all students regardless of membership at all our home football games as an opportunity to meet fellow classmates. Student government has organized student movie nights on campus for students and homecoming and prom off campus. Our theater productions have produced marvelous shows which could be award-winning, all produced for the students, by the students. Shows that were noteworthy were Godspell, Frozen Jr., and 9 to 5, which is showing May 5th to May 7th if you want to come. Looking outward from Eastlake, with our various honor societies, give students abundant opportunities to give back to the community. Not only do they give back, they can also prosper their love of the subject with various organizations as they specialize with subject. Overall, without the opportunities given at Eastlake, I would not be standing here today telling you what a great school it is. With that being said, it would not be possible without the Pinellas County staff at Eastlake and in this building working constantly hard to give the students the best opportunity that they can. Also the board, thank you guys. And Dr. Grego. So to conclude, I thank you all sitting in front of me for the hard work you've done and yet to do.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. And thank you to their principal, Ms. Carmela Haley. Will you please stand? Fantastic job to all of you. Thank you for joining us. All right, Dr. Grego, are there any recommended changes to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair, there's no amendments to the agenda.
Okay. With that, may I have a motion to adopt today's agenda? Okay, Mr. Dudley? And Mrs. Cook. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 7-0. Okay, let's go to the special order agenda. Presentation of the proclamation recognizing May 2022 as Better Hearing and Speech Month. Dr. Grego?
Yes, Madam Chair and board members, it gives me great pleasure to call upon Shira Long, the coordinator of speech language pathologists, and also give a sincere shout out to all of our speech language pathologists for the students that they work with every single day. So, Ms. Long.
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Grego, and Pinellas County Schools staff. Every May, the American Speech Language Hearing Association celebrates Better Hearing and Speech Month. This is an opportunity to raise awareness about communication disorders and the role that speech language pathologists and audiologists have in our schools. The theme for this year is connecting people. Speech language pathologists make connections with people every day. They have integral roles in education and are essential members of school faculties. SLPs in Pinellas County Schools provide a continuum of educationally relevant services for students with speech and/or language disorders across all age levels. They provide language therapy for children so they may access their education by targeting areas of need, such as interpersonal communication, augmentative communication, oral language, and literacy skills. Speech therapy addresses speech sound disorders, stuttering, and voice disorders. Audiologists assess and diagnose hearing loss. They may connect students and families with resources or equipment to meet a variety of needs. They recommend the appropriate device to accommodate for the type and degree of hearing loss so that children may hear for both communication and learning. Our audiologists are a community resource as well as a school resource, as they provide hearing assessments for children from birth through graduation who reside in Pinellas County. Their offices are located at Cross Bayou Elementary. Each and every day, SLPs and audiologists work with a shared goal for children to achieve, communicate, and connect with the world around them. The district and departments of exceptional student education and specialized services recognize May as Better Hearing and Speech Month. We have an incredible team of SLPs and audiologists, and as their coordinator, I am very proud to recognize them for their dedication, commitment, and hard work on behalf of Pinellas County School students, and I want to thank you for taking the time to also recognize them today. Thank you.
I need to back up a minute. I need a motion for this presentation of proclamation. Motion. Caprice. Okay. All right, Ms. Hines, would you read for us, please?
Yeah. Proclamation, Better Hearing and Speech Month. Whereas Pinellas County Schools encourages options for an active and healthy lifestyle, and whereas in the best interest of the public, audiological services should be provided by a certified audiologist and speech-language services by a certified speech-language pathologist to achieve effective communication skills. And whereas through a national effort, community members are encouraged to join together to raise awareness of the importance of better hearing and speech during the month of May 2022. And whereas this effort will bring awareness to our schools and community of the roles of audiologists and speech-language pathologists in schools, now, therefore, the School Board of Pinellas County does hereby recognize May 2022 as Better Hearing and Speech Month in Pinellas County Schools, signed this 12th day of April 2022.
Before we vote, I just want to say that I've personally been touched by Mrs. Long and some of the other speech pathologists. My son couldn't talk until he was almost 7, and I really worried about would he ever be able to talk. And the dedication of the speech pathologists in this county is incredible. And because of you, my son is doing great now, and I really mean that when I say you are a wonderful team of individuals.
Thank you very, very much.
Okay, all in favor of this?
May I share also?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'd like to share also. I benefited from speech pathology throughout my education career. It wasn't until 10th grade that I was relatively fluent. And my own 2 small children at about 3 years old presented with dysfluency. And because of the early access and study and learning over the decades, really by 1st and 2nd grade, they're both completely fluent. So I personally, our family has benefited, and so many families benefit from the commitment and the capability of your services. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, all those in favor of the presentation of proclamation declaring May 2022 as Better Hearing and Speech Month, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Long. Okay, the next one is recognition of 2021 Energy Star certified buildings. Dr. Grego?
Yes, Madam Chair and school board members and the public, I am extremely proud of not only today's recognition of the Energy Star Awards being presented to 59 schools in our district, but also with our very healthy partnership over the last 5-6 years with Synergistics that really have been a true partnership with our district, with the energy conservation, with Mr. Herbick, with the entire maintenance team, with all our plant operators truly working together to conserve energy and to use those dollars honestly, to use those dollars in the classroom. So let me turn this presentation over to Mr. Herbick, and we also have a very special guest, Steve Jones, the Regional Vice President, here with us today too. So, Mr. Herbick?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Grego, and Madam Chair and school board members. Again, as Dr. Grego said, we're very proud of this recognition today. We have an opportunity to be recognized by Energy Star on 2 different occasions, and Synergistic helps us with both of those. And in fact, they do the heavy lift of filling out the applications for all of our schools and for the district itself. And the first opportunity to be recognized from the EPA is actually today, and it's a recognition of the individual schools who have been rated an Energy Star classified building. And as Dr. Grego said, we have 59 of those schools being recognized today. The other opportunity, we hope to be able to, we're having our fingers crossed, but we hope to be able to share good news in about a month or so. We've been recognized as an Energy Star Partner of the Year district for 3 consecutive years. And we expect to hear news again in about a month or so of whether or not we will receive that award for a 4th time. And if so, we'll have Synergistic, I'm sure, back to help celebrate us at that time as well. But at this time, I would like to ask Steve Jones to please come to the microphone and share some words from Synergistic.
Thank you, Mr. Herbick. Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Dr. Grego, thank you for having us. My name is Steve Jones. This is the 3rd or 4th time I've been here, so I really like coming back down to this area. I'm from Alabama, so getting to Florida is always something nice to get to do. I hope I can speak as eloquently as those 3 students did. That was amazing. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I don't think they looked at their notes hardly any, and that is amazing for these children. Young adults, I apologize. We're here today to celebrate, as Dr. Grego said and Mr. Herbick said, the Energy Star certification for the district. A little background about what that means. Everybody's probably aware of the sticker you see on the refrigerator at Lowe's or Home Depot's that says that piece of equipment is Energy Star certified. This is a little different. This is certification for buildings that is a very labor-intensive process of looking at air quality, energy use index, and energy use per square feet. And then that is measured against like schools or schools throughout the nation. You have to score 75 or better on a 1 through 100 scoring table. And Pinellas County, we're proud to say, have 59 schools this year that have qualified for that, even through the challenges of COVID, even through a lot of construction that you've had going on. I think it's an amazing feat that we're saying that 57 of the schools are in the top 25% in the entire nation of energy efficiency. Put that into perspective, we have been partners with Pinellas County since 2015. We looked at what is called EUI, Energy Use Index. Pinellas County as a whole, in the aggregate, over this term of 7.5 years, have reduced your energy use per square foot by 24%. And that's just amazing. If you equate that, I do, to what my children paying their power bills at Auburn, if I could get their energy per square foot down 1%, I would be happy. 25% is an unbelievable number. This team behind us is our energy specialist. I'm sure that you see Carlos and Sam and Jennifer and Cindy all over the place. Clint said that we do the heavy lift on this, and we do. This is not something that Tim Oakhill, who's with me from our executive office, asked me a really pertinent question. Is this a legit award? Is this a participation trophy that the EPA gives out? And it really made me think, there's a lot that goes into this. A professional engineer comes in, studies the building, studies the envelope, and makes that determination. There is no, just because y'all have done it before, you get it again. This is a very rigorous process, so congratulations. I'll be honest, we had 98 last time. Is that not correct? 98 schools? Mm-hmm. So if you think about that, 74% of all of the schools in Pinellas County are telling the nation that we are in the top 25% in energy efficiency. Not only are you good stewards of education for these young men and women, I think you're being good stewards of the environment, which equates to being good stewards of your finances. So congratulations to the district. This is this is the plaque that each one of the schools will get. I had asked them to line all 60 of the, or 59 of these up and pull a blanket off, and they told me I was crazy. They didn't have time to do that, nor would y'all let them do that. But I think the plan is to go around to each individual school, to each individual principal, and present this and display it proudly because, you know, it is a thing. I think the students just looking at those young men and women talking about the drones, the future engineers that Pinellas County is putting out, environment is something that's on the forefront of people's mind, as it should be, and you're leading by example. So congratulations. Thanks for having me down here. Dr. Grego, can we get a picture, do you think, with this, or should we do that at a later time?
We could do it at a later time, I think, because we're going to move on. It's up
Maybe
to the
after the
board.
meeting, we could
Would-
get together
would you
and do
like
that?
to- It's up
Good.
to
Well,
the
thank you
board.
again
Would
for your
like to-
time.
Want to do it now?
We can go down?
Okay,
All right,
sure.
let's do it.
Good to see everybody.
Board members, thank you for doing that. I know it was very important to them too. And, our principals will be receiving those plaques, those acrylic plaques, in the next principals meeting. Yeah.
Okay, we've come to the part of public comments. Members of the public have 3 opportunities to address the board when we are gathered for our meetings. The first opportunity to speak is during public comments on the agenda items. The next opportunity is when there's a public hearing, most of which are policies. And lastly, after the meeting is adjourned, we will remain for public participation when speakers may address items pertaining to the business of the district. At each of these opportunities for public input, board members are here to listen to you. This is not a time for discussion or debate. We will not take any formal action on information brought forward unless it is pertaining to an agenda item. However, the board and the superintendent may clarify statements or refer the speaker to the proper staff member to help through your concerns. The board is committed to a standard of civility and decorum in the conduct of our meetings. Whether you agree or disagree with these viewpoints expressed by speakers, please refrain yourself from showing audible support or disagreement. We also ask that you assist us in maintaining a civil and constructive environment by confining your comments to the business of the district and refrain from profanity and intemperate or rude comments. Thank you. Now, Mrs. Hauk, do we have any speakers?
Yes, Madam Chair, board members, and Dr. Grego, we have one speaker. Renee Chia will be speaking for agenda items 7.15, 7.9.
And so, Ms. Chia, as we normally do when you're speaking to the purchasing agenda item, if you wouldn't also mind identifying the bid number so we can follow along. Thank you.
Certainly. So the in agenda item 7.15, which is the purchasing agreement, the bid item number is 22-205-204. Okay, thank you. I also did a Public Records Act request, as you're aware, Mr. Kapersky, for agenda item 7.9, and I did receive those documents this morning and was able to review them. I don't have any objection to that on anything in its face or in its face for this particular bid purchasing number. But for the bid purchasing number, this is a program that's going to be online curriculum that is going to bridge the summer months. So my question to the board, and I will follow up with an email for all of you because I know we're not going to do a dialogue, but I do want a response back, is what are you doing now for oversight on that curriculum to make sure that it's compliant with HB 1557 and HB 7 that'll probably be signed into law very soon, as those will come on the books July 1st and will bridge this curriculum. So I would like to know what your proactive plan is to have oversight and do something to ensure that this curriculum is going to be compliant with those laws. So that is my comment for today. The only other thing I wanted to ask regarding transparency is why there was not a disclosure of Ms. Long's niece running for the school board, as seems appropriate to do. So that is my
Ms.
other
Chia, that's not related to an agenda item, so
Understood,
thank you.
but it speaks to transparency and lack thereof. Thank you very much.
Do you want me to respond?
No, Madam Chair, there are no more speakers for agenda items.
Okay. All right, then with that, we have, for our consent, I need a motion. Ms. Hine? Mr. Dudley? All in favor of the consent agenda items, say aye. Passes 7-0. All right. Let's go on to non-consent business. Request approval of the tentative agreement with the Pinellas Classroom Teachers Association. May I have a motion? Mr. Dudley? Ms. Cook? All right. Dr. Grego?
Yes, Madam Chair and school board members, gives me great pleasure to bring this tentative agreement to the board for hopefully your approval. I do want to thank Nancy Velarde and Lindsay Blankenbaker for their efforts and leadership of working with our negotiation team, Ms. Texel, as you'll soon hear from, and also Lori Dart and Kevin Smith, and many others behind the scene that worked so tirelessly to try to bring this to fruition, and I'm very grateful that we are. So I know Ms. Texel will bring some of the details to the board, and if you have any questions. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. Yes, I am here this morning to request approval of the tentative agreement with the Pinellas Classroom Teachers Association, or PCTA. I also wanted to say thank you to Nancy Velarde and Lindsay Blankenbaker for your work during this process this year. So thank you so much. The total average compensation package for PCTA is 5.2%, with an average salary increase of 3.25% for employees in the PCTA bargaining group. As previously shared regarding health care, the school board did pay 100% of the increase in costs this school year, which meant employees had no increase in their per pay period healthcare costs this year, which that again was about $9 million for all employees. The school board also had covered the $4 million increase in the FRS contribution for all employees. And again, this did not, that meant that no additional costs were to our employees this year. And additionally, the district did contribute some additional funds to increase our supplements for teachers who perform duties such as athletics, arts, academic activities outside of the school day, which allowed for that increase, or will allow for a 3.25% increase in those supplements as well. So in addition to the salary and the health care and the supplement, the district also proposed some additional planning time. We did spend a lot of time talking about this year for our instructional staff members to be paid at their hourly rate. As you know, teachers do spend a great amount of their time outside of their hours, and felt this was we were very happy to be able to provide these funds to the teachers. So they will be paid for 15 hours of additional planning time for, again, each instructional staff member. And again, as I said, it will be paid at their hourly rate, and it will be for this year plus the next 2 years. We also agreed upon pay for additional 15 hours for our ESE teachers. In addition to those 15 hours, again, paid at their hourly rate. It will be for this year and the next 2 years as well, and it is specific to ESE teachers. We had some other areas that affected pay and increases in these various areas, such as pay for covering a class when a sub does not accept that position. So there's a vacancy. There was an increase from $12 an hour or period to $17.50 per hour or period, and that does match up also with the increase in our sub pay that we had implemented last year as well. We did increase the amount paid for professional development training from $20 to $22.50 an hour. And as mentioned earlier with PESPA, we did adjust the terminal pay percentages for unused accrued sick leave paid out upon retirement or death. A great deal of time was spent this year on updating, revising, editing our contract language, which recognizes the hard work that our teachers do on a daily basis. And those articles and topics are listed in the agenda item before you today. Employees represented by this bargaining group ratified the tentative agreement a couple of weeks ago, which passed with 78% voting in favor of the agreement. All increases approved today are retroactive to July 1st, 2021, and if approved today, employees will be receiving their raises and retro check on April 22nd. Our payroll department, I do have to give a shout out to as well. They have been working very hard this past couple weeks to make sure that this is in place for our teachers so that we could get that to them as quickly as possible. So on behalf of the superintendent's staff, we are recommending that you approve this agreement with PCTA this morning.
Okay. Any comments, discussions? Ms. Edmond?
Thank you very much for bringing this item forth. As we all know, this has been both parties have done to bring it forth. In the future, I would like to see consideration for additional increases to veteran pay as deemed appropriate by law. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And it passes 7-0. Okay. All right, second agenda item. Setting a public hearing and authorizing the advertisement of the public hearing to consider the amendments to policies 5500.04, Code of Student Conduct, Dress Code 5500.07, Code of Student Conduct, Discipline, 5500.08, Code of Student Conduct, Misconduct that requires specific consequences, 5500.10, Code of Student Conduct, Disciplinary Actions, 5500.11, Code of Student Conduct, Discipline for Students with Disabilities, and 5500.12, Code of Student Conduct, Suspension, Expulsion, and the last one, 5500.13, Code of Student Conduct, suspension, expulsion. Do I have a motion? Ms. Edmond and Ms. Cook. Got it. All right. Dr. Grego?
Madam Chair, I want to call upon Dr. Hines, who's been working with this issue since he's taken the position of one of the area superintendents, and has also provided several workshops on this in this area. And also joining him is Leanna Eisen, Director of Strategic Planning, and oversees all of our board policies. So either one.
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. We do stand before you to bring information to you for the first reading, your consideration for changes to the 22-23 school year Student Code of Conduct. I will start by at least thanking those that have supported us through this process. As you all know, this is an annual process where we pull together a committee to review items in our policy, looking at our Student Code of Conduct. When we look at those items, obviously we're looking at things that are required by legislative requirements, as well as local and district practices. We look at that alignment piece and bring those items forward. And so I want to also clarify that, and by doing so, the recommendations that we're providing today provide further guidance to our stakeholders about the expectation as it relates to behavior within schools, as well as consequences that are assigned when there's a violation of the Student Code of Conduct. I do want to thank, like I said, Leanna, who supported us through this process, as well as there are different divisions that served on this committee. And I want to thank the area superintendents who also served with me, my counterparts, Chief Williams. We also had Dr. Bradley Brim from Strategic Partnerships and Family Community Engagement. We had several persons from Student Services, including student counselors that helped on this committee, leaders at all levels, elementary, middle, and high school that served. We had our representatives from Student Rights and Responsibility. Nancy Velarde also served on this committee, in addition to representatives from our Pinellas County Council of PTA, in addition to other support staff that participated. And also, you all had an opportunity to participate with us at a board workshop in March, where we brought forth many of the changes that I will highlight this morning for you. In that discussion, there was some feedback that we did receive from you all, and I will highlight those changes based on your feedback in this process that we were able to consider and bring forward today as a form of a recommendation. So in doing so, we will look at some of those items, and so I'll start with policy 55.04, which is our dress code policy. In this section, basically this section was rewritten to describe all clothing instead of specific articles of clothing. We also changed the requirements to rearrange or regroup similar topics so that it's provide further clarity and ease of reference for stakeholders who are reading the policy. Also the language that reflects that the Student Advisory Council can approve adjustments to the school's specific dress codes. We added that information in to align with our current practices, because typically when a school is going to deviate, they do work with their school advisory council, and that council makes that final determination through bringing their body together and voting on that. And policy 55.07, which is our discipline policy, I said that right. All added language stating that when there's a reassignment or when a student is reassigned or referred to mental health services, that this will be followed after the threat assessment is held at the district level. In addition to, we added language to reference our stakeholder groups to the interagency agreement between Pinellas County Schools Police, and in addition to with our local law enforcement office to provide further information regarding petty acts of misconduct. In policy 55.08, misconduct that requires specific consequences, we added language that a threat assessment will be conducted for any student that possesses a firearm, or firearms, guns, or dangerous objects. In addition to that, we removed the language that indicates that students will receive a civil citation for tobacco, nicotine, or vaping. In policy 55.10, as well as 55.12. Basically, what we did in that particular policy is we provided, in order to be more consistent, we provided families with additional days to appeal a decision that was made based on a suspension or reassignment, giving families at least 5 days. That does provide ample amount of times for parents to do their research, communicate with the school, really take the time to really understand what's happening and what the consequences were assigned, and to make that determination. In addition to that, we updated the information around in-school suspension, changing that code that we use that was in the current policy to a code that we're actually using now. There's that alignment piece that we did there. And the last thing we did was we added information to clarify for parents what to do when a student successfully completes a reassignment or an expulsion, so they know what's going to happen when a student successfully completes it. And policy 55.11, which is the information around students with disabilities. In this policy, we added language to clarify that students being evaluated for consideration of ESE eligibility is considered a student with disabilities, and we will follow or implement discipline according to a student that has the label of an ESE eligibility. We also clarified that the manifestation determination review can identify patterns of behavior. And again, this provides more information to better support the student and to better support the school as we're working to decide or determine what's in the best interest of the student as we provide educational services to the students. Policy 55.13. Similar to policy 55.12, what we have done recommending in that particular policy is there again providing families with at least 5 days to make a determination regarding if they're going to appeal the decision to either have, or even if it's not a suspension, let's say I don't agree with whatever the consequences were, giving parents an opportunity to have more days to make that determination, and they will appeal that information either to the principal, and then also they can reach out to the area superintendent of chiefs of transformation officer. We're also looking at, and this is something that was shared at the board workshop, is policy 55.015, which is the Parent Bill of Rights. We are looking to add that particular policy into our student code of conduct, as you all know, so that parents can know what their rights are. And so that's something that we're looking for consideration. We've also updated quite a bit of the language to reflect the titles of area superintendent / chief transformation officer throughout the policy versus regional area officers, I think what it used to refer to. And then the final updates that we are recommending is that to policies 55.01, 55.02, 55.06, we're making technical changes that really does not require approval. We started this journey last year, really changing some of the language to be more gender neutral language. And so as we continue to review and we find those areas that we need to continue to make those adjustments, we're going to make those adjustments. So they're very technical changes, and again, does not necessarily require approval, but we definitely wanted to bring that to your attention. I will end by saying that as we continue to go through this process, even after this meeting, based on feedback that we continue to receive between now and our next projected time before you, which is June 14th, if there's any recommendations that come forth, we will reconvene our committee and we will go through the process of reviewing the information to look for the alignment and look for the requirement in terms of is it a statutory requirement, and we will bring those forward as needed. So our next meeting, next time before you, actually June 14th, unless something comes up in between that time frame. So that's the information we have today for your consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Dudley?
Madam Chair, I want to commend you on a tough job. Tough job you have. Having said that, in March, when you gave us some of the updates, since that time I know there's been some pushback. Have you met with other groups? I know there was one group in particular that you were going to meet with. They had, this deals with 5500.01 .04?
Yes, I did not meet directly with the students, but we had some correspondence and communication. After the correspondence and communication that we had, what I'm learning and what we've discovered from that, they did have some concerns in terms of they felt like the changes we made that still kind of penalize females or women more so than not. We did bring that back to the committee, and we really firmly believe we've done a great job of trying to balance everything that we need to do. However, the other part that came out of this was more about enforcement of our student code of conduct and our dress code. And so one of the things that we as area superintendents have discussed, and we're going to be doing this in March at our principals meeting that we have all the principals and assistant principals come together later in March, is talk about and re-emphasize the different components of the student code of conduct and try to get some more consistency about how policy is implemented. So what the students overwhelmingly said was that they just felt like some administrators are kind of laid back and let things go, and some administrators are like every single thing is up. So we need to, that's an issue that we need to take care of with staff, and we're willing to put the time in and to work with those schools and school leaders about implementing the policy as it is intended and not going too far to the left or too far to the right. So that's what we learned from that discussion. Outside of that, there was no other information that came forth.
Okay, well, you must be reading my notes because my next thing was about enforcement, because it's not just enforcement within the school. There's some schools don't even enforce it at all.
Correct.
And and that really puts everybody in a bind, you know, and I think it's very, very important that everybody's on the same page. We're going to continue having the same stuff going on all the time. And I appreciate the fact that that group got back with you and talked, and I'm sure you'll probably hear from them again. And because it is slanted in one direction. I've been to a couple of the schools and I can see where they're coming from. Kids are going to get away with what they can, and if we have a policy, we have to make sure that they adhere to that policy. And not only the kids have to buy into it, but the administration has to buy into it. And, trying to be a nice guy, we'll let it go this time. It doesn't, that comes back to bite us.
Yes, sir.
And so, anyway, I'm glad you answered my question. And I couldn't believe you said enforcement. I'm looking as my next item.
I saw your notes on.
Good job anyway.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Edmond, did you?
Dr. Hines, you've already mentioned all of the people and organizations that provided feedback as it relates to this policy, and I sincerely appreciate the information you presented to us at the workshop, as well as the board providing feedback and the offline conversations that I was able to have with you. So I just wanted to say that your work is greatly appreciated. And to the public, if you would like to provide feedback, that opportunity is available for you up until our next hearing or even at that point. So it would be great for you to provide feedback if you have any as it relates to our student code of conduct, because your voice and feedback is valued. Thank you, Dr. Hines and Ms. House.
Thank you.
All right, so we need to take a vote I'm not going to read all these, to set the second hearing. So all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, new business. Items introduced by the superintendent.
Yes, Madam Chair and board members, I know as we wind down, there's a lot of events, and this part of the year always makes me extremely proud of the accomplishments of our students and our employees and our administrators and just about each and every one, no matter what the job classification. So I apologize if I'm a little bit long, but I wanted to select a couple that just to give you the breadth of the accomplishments that our students have had during a difficult year, but we're excelling beyond people's expectations. The first is St. Petersburg High School. Last week they won the national 3DE program. This year Home Depot set a national challenge out to high schools, 3D high schools, and this is a junior achievement program. It's very ecstatic, and so is St. Petersburg High School, and it's an administrative team and the students and all to win against other high schools throughout the nation. The 3DE program is certainly embraced and brought businesses in our community together with us and with high schools to show a degree of relevancy to solving real-world problems. When we say real world, it's their problems, and they need our students' help. We're looking to expand on a positive note the 3D program hopefully next year at Gibbs, Lakewood, and Clearwater High School. Also in the area of science, we've had 5 district students win science projects at the Florida State Science and Engineering Fair. This event is the largest academic competition in the state. Nearly 700 projects were presented at the competition in Lakewood. The winning students attend Carwise, Palm Harbor University High School, and Countryside High School. Congratulations to all of the winners. Anya Bendora from Palm Harbor University High School, although won the Science Supervisor Award, a cash prize, and a 50% tuition scholarship for 4 years to the Florida Institute of Technology. This is valued at $80,000, so congratulations to Anya. 3 students also, if you move it to the arts and the National Scholastic and Arts and Writing Awards, 3 students from Dunedin, Countryside, and PCCA at Gibbs won national gold and silver medals at the National Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. This competition is certainly one of the most prestigious and longest running programs in the nation. Also in the area of athletics, Claire Bowie, the sophomore at Palm Harbor University, and Brian Barbaraji from Countryside High School both won the state championship in their weight class in coach and wrestling. So both we have 2 state champions this year. Also, if you look at some of the career and technical education programs, we're very ecstatic that, as you know, we earn thousands of industry certifications, especially as we close off the year, and we continue to earn them throughout the summer. But I want to highlight 18 Largo High School students recently earned their Child Development Associate credential. The reason why I like these so much, these are individuals going into the child development, early childhood education, and also future teachers of our school district. The credential is a key step in this pathway. As I mentioned, 480 hours of work experience, a detailed portfolio, observations by a CDA specialist, and the passage of a rigorous exam. So congratulations to not only these students at Largo, but throughout our entire school district. The State Teacher of the Year, our own Sarah Painter, last week she was, as part of her reigning State Teacher of the Year, she's given a full scholarship to a student, a 2-year scholarship worth $8,000, and she selected a past student of hers who's currently going to Safety Harbor Middle School but was enrolled in Eisenhower, Meyer Turner, 6th grader at Safety Harbor. They surprised Maya, and what a tremendous, I think you received a photograph of this on the Friday update. So this will be, and Maya said that she has plans to be the best veterinarian that ever existed. So she's thoroughly excited by this scholarship and by this recognition. We also recently want to give a huge shout out to Chief Anthony Holloway and the St. Pete Police Department, as they partnered with us and in our own Pinellas Educational Foundation to create an educational stipend program from each of these schools: Lakewood, St. Petersburg, Gibbs, Northeast, Boca Ciega. As you can tell, this is the St. Pete Police Department. 4 students were issued a $2,000 stipend that could be used for tuition, books, and other related expenses. Also, the funds also came from stipends from the Department of Justice. I want to say thank you. And Chief Holloway himself, out of their resources added an additional $1,000, so the total for each student is $5,000. Thank you, Chief Holloway, for your leadership and really impacting our students. I want to thank Kevin Hendrick and Mayor Welch for joining Principal Kranzel at the unveiling of the new mural at Perkins Elementary School this past weekend. They worked with Gibbs High School Mural Club and St. Petersburg artist Zulu painter to create this mural. So if you buy Perkins Elementary School, please stop and see it. But just thank you to the support of the mayor and Mr. Hendrick. Also I did attend Mount Vernon, Rabo Valley. I'm going to pass this down. This is a little knapsack or tote bag. And Mr. O'Valley had a presentation with law enforcement, Mike Allstott from Family Foundation, and Mr. Allstott was there. St. Pete Police Department, Town of Bel Air contributed to it, and Florida Government Police, Treasure Island Police Department. It was a gathering of many. To the whole purpose of you seeing these little tote bags that fold up to very, very small, that they can carry them in their vehicles, is that if a student has to be picked up, that we need to do it with dignity, not with a trash bag, but with dignity. So these little tote bags that fold up, Mr. O'Valley single-handedly, with the help of Luke Williams and many others who was also present there, raised over $10,000 and distributed well over 3,000 of these. They have many more to go. And but this is one of those areas that would like to get out of the business. But in the meantime, we're gonna make sure our students are taken care of. They're continuing to provide donations and ask for donations and raising money for toiletries inside of the bag, like toothbrushes and other things. So my comment there, because it was all said by Mr. O'Valley, is that this is a tremendous example of the leadership in our school district by principals. They don't just stop with the leadership of a school and they have boundaries of their walls, but rather they look for things that need to be worked on, improved upon in the community that directly impact students. I want to also say congratulations to the language arts specialist, Holly Slaughter. If you see her, please congratulate her. You probably saw her in the Times. She's a finalist for the Roy Peter Clark Literary Award. This award is sponsored by St. Petersburg Press and recognizes outstanding individuals in our community that contribute to the community in that way. Holly's done a great job here, has taught, I think, every single grade level from kindergarten up to 8th grade, and is a tremendous leader and asset to our school district. In terms of the teacher ranks, so we recently, Joshua Robertson, a teacher at Seminole High School, has been nominated in the senior division of the National History Day National Contest. He's one of 2 nominees from Florida and 116 in the nation. So up for the grand prize, which is a $10,000 award to our history teachers. So thank you to all of the history teachers in our school district. I want to say thank you to the board members for your participation in the volunteer breakfast, a wonderful breakfast at Feather Sound. We recognized 15 outstanding volunteers of all ages, and we also named our finalists that will be brought on to the state finalist at the state level. I do want to take a moment, because I know Gary Rangoli wasn't able to be there at that at the breakfast, but Mr. Rangoli, who's the CEO and president of Achieva Credit Union, as you know, they've supported this volunteerism and volunteer breakfast for almost 30 years now. And he is a diehard to support our school district, and just say thank you to him publicly and to all of the employees at Achieva for supporting this event and many, many others that they support. I also want to say thanks to the current chair, Therius Bethel, and the immediate past chair, Trinia Cox, for their collaboration. As you know, and I shared with this board, DMAC, or the District Monitoring Advisory Committee, commonly known as DMAC, presented to me, the superintendent, a series of suggestions and requests, and our staff and I looked at those very carefully. Dr. Brinson presented the responses back to them. They were very pleased. It was very good meeting, very productive meeting, and we're going to continue those discussions as we continue to move with our Bridging the Gap plan. But I want to say that how much I appreciate the input and also the clarification of many items that sometimes just, a simple question can clarify a lot of things rather than going off thinking it's a particular way that it's not. So thank you. I'll continue to share those things with the board as time goes on. And then I'm going to bundle them all together because there's going to be a lot more. Thank you for the CarWise Awards. And Dr. Brim did a tremendous job. Yes, I Can Awards honoring our exceptional student education. What a priceless group of students that we recognize in all those. The 5th annual Maria Edmonds, we really had the largest crowd that we've ever had at Ruth Eckerd Hall. One of the individuals said, "This is the largest crowd we've had in over 2 years." So it was really a nice one. And then recently the Verl Davis, where we honored 170 scholars at the Coliseum in St. Petersburg, and there'll be more to come. But that was my flavor of the superintendent's report. I apologize for taking as long as I have, but there's a lot of things going on. There's other things I left out, but I think you can get a good representation of how our teachers are being recognized, our schools are being recognized, our students are being recognized, and our district is. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Items introduced by the school board attorney.
I have no report today. Thank you, Madam.
Items introduced by the board. Dr. Carr.
Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Grego. I was thinking this similarly, and when we heard this chorus this morning of celebration and celebrating our homes and springtime, I was thinking that's really what we've spent a lot of time doing. We haven't been together here in a little bit, so I'm sure we all have a lot to share. I would just like to thank Mr. Herbick for coordinating the unveiling of a recent electric bus that we have going and sharing the welcoming words. Mrs. Kane did a beautiful job welcoming us, everyone on our behalf. The City of Largo really exemplifies the progress made in the area of sustainability, and I look forward to the work that our sustainability group is putting forward. And I know it was nice being at the Volunteer Awards at Feather Sound, having that open again, and thank you to the Seminole Band for presenting. Also, there have been a lot of community activities where individuals have been awarded scholarships, had the opportunity, and fundraising events where funds were raised to support students within the community. I know American Stage held their recent event and raised funds in order to provide opportunities for our students to engage in theater experiences in the schools, and I'm grateful for them and the work that they do with our schools. And also, the Woodson Museum had the Woodson Warriors Scholarship, had the wonderful opportunity to hear Nicole Hannah-Jones present, and that was an opportunity that we aren't always afforded to have such a well-known figure in our community sharing wealth of knowledge. So I really appreciate that, and I know others were in attendance. And also, the Free Clinic had their recent event, and they do so much to provide our students with pack-a-sack and support services. And to further acknowledge Holly Slaughter's recognition, just a little bit of history that I'm aware of. In the past, we had numerous people who did the duties that Holly Slaughter does. We had someone for ELA, reading, and there were a team of 3, I think, or 4 individuals at one time to do the job that she now single-handedly undertakes with, I'm sure, a team of phenomenal people working with her. But in terms of the leadership, I really appreciate the amount of time and energy and effort and consistency that she has demonstrated over time. So thank you, Ms. Slaughter, and congratulations. Recently had the opportunity to attend our community conversations led by Mr. Vigu and with presentations from Dr. Brim and Mr. Feeney. And It was wonderful to hear feedback similarly to what was received regarding DMAC, where there were questions asked and sought direction and input from the community on things that are taking place in the district. So I really appreciate that effort being made with the community conversations where where we're going out to the community and seeking input from individuals in different schools throughout the community. So I'm grateful to that work and appreciative of the opportunity to be able to attend. I think we each who wanted to have an opportunity to attend, I know others have attended. And then I also want to acknowledge the quarterly report from the strategic plan. I had the opportunity to meet with our leaders who facilitate that. And I know there are so many people involved in the constant monitoring and continuous improvement of the strategic plan. And so often strategic plans can become compliance documents that sit on a shelf. And I think we've done a very good job moving in the direction where we're progress monitoring, not just for accountability and compliance, but also to make genuine changes. And some of the things that we have worked on over time, I hope we'll be able to move into just a way of work as we revise and modify and update the strategic plan to maintain a level of robust nature to it, but also not be so overwhelming. We have so many items within it, and some are really a way of work right now. So I really commend those folks who are working so hard on the district strategic plan. And to acknowledge too our principal from Calvin Hunsinger, and I know it's been a little bit since he left, but just to say thank you to Doug Kimmig, so I always have such a hard time with his last name. But to really commend him for his service and thank him for his leadership at our center for so long. And I remember years ago trying to work on the school improvement plan with the centers when the school improvement plan was so regimented, and it still is the state requirement, and how challenging it was to fit an ESE center into that box. And his work on that and his relentless spirit to continue to provide wonderful leadership with our population of students there at Calvin. So thank you to them. And also I want to request or ask for or seek input about some of the new legislation that is coming down. I reflected on some of those pieces, and then also from our public speaker today. Looking forward to hearing how our teachers will be supported in this. I was reflecting on the challenges that might even come from a very commonly taught text of To Kill a Mockingbird and the loss of innocence as a theme, and the other themes that are brought up that might create discomfort in classroom discussions that might make teachers question their way of work, and how we'll support, like we did for our history teachers with previous legislation, all of our teachers with some of the new legislation should it pass. Because as a former teacher myself, and I had the opportunity to teach high school and middle school English where so many topics were discussed that you were uncomfortable. It was sort of the intention to be uncomfortable so that you could grow and learn. So I look forward to us hearing more about how we support our teachers to ensure that they feel that they are respected as professionals and are able to teach the way we've all studied and learned as experts in the area of pedagogy and education. So, and lastly, I want to commend our teachers for the work they've done navigating the difficult conversations that are coming up around Ukraine and the war that we are facing, and as we live through this history, and how the support systems have been in place for our students. There's so much exposure online, not necessarily, I'm not saying in our schools, but in the media and on telephones that kids have, cell phones, and they have different media outlets that are less censored than some of the things we have in schools. So I really appreciate teachers who've been acknowledging that and working and dealing with our students during those difficult challenges. So thank you to our teachers for the work. And I love that we continue to celebrate so many successes this time of year, and looking forward to the rest that are coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, Madam Chair and to the other school board members, next Tuesday I plan on providing, along with Capital Consulting, a complete overview of the legislation, but your questions are right on, and we're asking for many areas of clarification from the Department of Education so that we're statewide, so that we're implementing appropriately, and in some ways guarding and protecting our teachers from having to deal with that. Thank you for your comments.
Mrs. Cook?
Kind of along those lines, some of the laws go into effect in '22, but we won't be getting information and guidance from DOE until '23. So that's always a challenge. But anyway, rather than going over again a lot of the things that have gone on, I too want to thank the teachers. I also want to thank all of the people that have been involved in the student recognition. There have been a lot of things that have gone on, and they're tremendous, and congratulations to all the students that have been recognized. But what I do want to talk about and give everybody an update is on the superintendent search. Applications are due. The deadline is tomorrow night at midnight. Anything received after that will not be sent to us. Those that will be received will be sent. At this time, we've received 12 applications. I hope all of you have been able to get to the link. And they are all online, and they're posted on the website at pcsb.org/superintendent search. And our next work session to review the applications and to identify either a semifinalist or a finalist will be, and to discuss the questions that we'll be asking, will be on April 20th at 9 a.m. And, just like all of our workshops, our work sessions are open to the public. And we look forward to having that conversation and see what our next steps are. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Edmond?
It's been absolutely amazing to attend many of the virtual award ceremonies and see students, teachers, volunteers get recognized, as well as think about the hard work that has gone to make the events occur. So I just want to say thank you without going on and on about each event. Also, yesterday, Pinellas Technical College hosted the pinning ceremony for the practical nursing graduates. So I just want to, again, highlight PTC. If you are looking for a trade school or information about Pinellas Technical College, they have various opportunities available for all people, whether you're interested in dual enrollment in high school or obtaining your GED or just continuing education. Pinellas Technical College has wonderful opportunities. Also, on the 14th will be National Signing Day at both technical colleges, both St. Pete and Clearwater. So that's very exciting. In the consent agenda, we voted on several items, but I just wanted to point out the ones related to transportation, because that's been a concern for some people throughout the year. So there was a bid placed for a transportation routing system software, which will ultimately help the district with the transportation routing system and kind of problem solve any efficiencies or areas that we need to improve, as well as communicating when a bus is going to be late. So I think that's awesome that we're going to move forward with that technology and learn how we can move forward with improving the transportation routing. And thank you, T. Mark. I see you're here. So thank you for all that you do, you and your staff. The other thing that was on the consent agenda was a contract with ALS. And I know that some people pointed out that the district is contracting with outside vendor. And I just want to highlight that it's been positive. Having the outside vendor has helped save 15 routes and allowed those students who don't necessarily have a lot of people at their bus route, or they're getting picked up from their home, receive timely services, as well as help us in other areas that we needed to consolidate. So I just want to say thank you, Mr. Herbeck, T. Mark, and your team for all of the work that you're doing to improve those areas of concern. Thank you.
Ms. Kane?
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to be here today. Thank you so much for all of the comments from my colleagues, and especially about transportation. That's something that has arisen a lot this year, and so I appreciate your comments. And thank you to transportation for all the hard work you're doing to alleviate any of the concerns that we've seen district-wide with bus routes and late buses and things of that concern. So we really appreciate it. It was an honor to be there at the unveiling of the emissions-free bus. I'm very excited about the inclusion of the new buses into our fleet for next year as well. This morning, I know we all spoke a lot about community relations and all of the events that we attend, the community members that we speak with, and I just want to bring up, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I want to bring up some concerns that have come to my desk multiple times, and I'm sure many of you as well, but I feel like as a board, we need to be transparent and address these issues. There was a lot of confusion about the policy that we enacted about public comment during meeting, and there was concern about two particular lines in the wording of the document and in the policy. And I know I spoke with David Kapersky about this at length, and I wanted to know if there was any further clarification that we could put into the wording, because I do believe that, I know I spoke with many community members, the way it was worded confused many people, and I want to make sure that it's very clear where we stand, that we were not trying to take away public comment at our meetings. And I think that there was a misconception. So I'm gonna pass.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Kane, and I do appreciate our conversation yesterday afternoon. Specifically, you identified the concern regarding some language that was added, and I had just sent all of you and to Dr. Grego and Dr. Corbett and other relevant administrators a copy of what was passed on March 22nd at second reading, so you can take a look at it, just to refresh your memory and recollection. But the language you identified is we added in there that the chairman may interrupt a speaker when their speech interferes with the expeditious and orderly process of the meeting. I understand, and not only from you, but I've also heard that particular phrase has caused some angst among some as to whether or not that was further restricting what people can do at the board meetings. And I believe I said it before, but I want to emphasize again, and we can talk about what we can do about that. That is language that is taken verbatim from section 1001.352 of Florida statute. So that is language that the Florida legislature passed many years ago and is included in the statute that relates to how school boards can control their meetings. And so I believe that that statute is constitutional, and we put in the language directly from the statute. And so to answer your question, Mrs. Kane, we do allow, and in fact, just by serendipity, Dr. Hines mentioned this earlier, that there are sometimes some technical changes, clarifications, corrections, citations to statutory authority that can be added without having to go back to the school board for two readings. And so if a majority of the board would like, I can certainly work on language putting right after that phrase something along the lines as prescribed in Florida statutes, or as stated in Florida statutes. And then that can be put into the policy as simply just a technical addition, almost like a Scrivener's error, that can be added without having to come back to the board. Of course, we're having the discussion here at a public meeting, and that is fine too. But we have done that with policies in the past, changing people's titles, changing a statutory citation when the statute is changed by the legislature, making gender neutralizing changes, things like that. And so with that, I would sort of seek if there's any objection from the board, if I could add something along the lines of that, just a phrase separated by commas indicating that that phrase comes out of Florida statutes. And then I think it would clarify to the public that that is something that we're not coming up with Pinellas County Schools. Rather, that was straight from legislation.
Mrs. Cook?
I think that's a good idea to include that in there. Would you also reference the statute itself, or just say from Florida statute?
I can reference the statute itself, and that may be better. I try to shy away from doing that for the reason that I just said a moment ago, that sometimes they change, but then we can change it if it changes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, no, I do think that in this case, because of the public interest, that giving the exact subsection of the exact statute might be best.
And we do that with a lot of policies, so I think it would be a good thing that I would like to see added as well.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Any other board comments? All right. Dr. Corbett, do we have any board requests?
Yes, Madam Chair, I had two. The first one is we will continue to provide information on how the new statutes will affect teachers and how we will support the teachers with these changes. And the second one is what Mr. Kapersky just spoke about, rewording the section of the recently passed policy change on public speaking at board meetings.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will adjourn the meeting, and afterwards, we will, after public comments, we will come together to do our board evaluation. So at this time,